About to begin the service for Mrs. Sherrie Weiss. Before the family re-enters the chapel, we just have a few brief announcements. We want to welcome everyone here in the chapel as well as everyone that's viewing the service from afar. Just a gentle reminder for those of you that are present in the chapel, if you have a cell phone with you, please make sure it's in the silent mode or turn it off completely. That would be appreciated. The interment will take place immediately following a service at West Lawn Cemetery. Our procession will form in the parking lot, and we will make sure that you have a funeral sticker for the inside of your windshield, as well as a funeral flag for on top of your vehicle. And please keep your emergency flashers as well as your headlights while in procession. And since the cemetery has a tight schedule today, we need people to go directly to their cars following the service if you are going to the cemetery. The Shiva will be observed at Congregation B'nai Tikva, that's 1558 Wilmot Road in Deerfield, today from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. with the minyan at 7 p.m. And then the Shiva will resume at the Weiss residence at 1 Timberleaf Lane in Riverwoods on Friday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Now, all this information is listed in the service folder that you received, and it's also on our website, Chicago Jewish Funerals. At the conclusion of the service, I'm going to ask the following people who've been selected to serve as pallbearers to please step up to escort Sherrie's casket from the chapel. Brian Chesson, Barry Chesson, Robert Weiss, Alan Began, Brad Miller, and Alan Weiss. At this time, I'm going to ask everyone to please rise as the family re-enters the chapel.
מזמור לדוד. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בהינו דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב ינחני, ומגלי צדק למען שמו, גם כי אלך בגיא צלמוות, לא ינרא כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשרתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמן, בשמן ראשי, דשנת בשמן, בשמן ראשי, דשנת בשמן, בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. היי 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 היי
I'm Rabbi Maury Schwartz. I'm the International Director of the Florence Melton School of Adult Jewish Learning, a project of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. And I'm extremely humbled to be standing here today. I was privileged to know Sherrie for more than 20 years. She was a devoted learner, a dedicated leader, a lover of Israel and Judaism, and a trusted and loving friend. In her memory, as a tribute to her love of Jewish learning and her exemplary commitment to the Florence Melton School, and with the hope that she is somehow listening, I'm going to share a very small part of a text that appears in Melton's newest course, a course called Timeless Wisdom from the books of Ecclesiastes, Lamentations, and Song of Songs. Sadly, it is a Melton course that Sherrie will not have the opportunity to take. In a lesson there on the book of Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, that addresses what is known as the catalog of time. You know, the verses in chapter 3 that read in a short series, a time for this and a time for that, a time for this and a time for that. One of those famous 8 milchama ve'et shalom, a time for war and a time for peace, so appropriate on this very day that we are here today. One of the verses there says, 8 lachashot ve'et ledaber. There's a time to be silent and a time to speak. And the rabbis in the commentary of the Midrash Rabbah on that pasuk, on that verse, they share a story. What does this mean? A time to be silent and a time to speak. And here's the story they tell. Rabbi Mana's wife died in the town of Tzipori, a town in the land of Israel. His colleague, Rabbi Avun, went there to comfort him. And during a quiet moment, Rabbi Avun said to the widower, Rabbi Mana, would my master not care to share some words of Torah with us? There was a pause. And then Rabbi Mana replied to him, the time now is for silence from Torah. A time that is honored by silence. more than by speech. Sherrie's family is so appreciative to all of you who are here with us and the scores who are joining us via live stream around the world. But no matter how hard we try, what we recall today in words about Sherrie will just not suffice to honor the memory of this very special woman who laughed easily and gave thoughtfully. But I have to believe that combined with the thousands of silent thoughts and memories of Sherrie that will be conjured up by all of you collectively this morning, worldwide, together with the words of those who will speak here today, will most certainly give abundant honor to the memory of the person that Sherrie was and will forever be to all of us, to her husband, to her brother, to her children, her grandchildren, and friends. At this time, I call upon her brother, Sherrie's brother, Bruce Munies, to share some words about Sherrie.
I folded it too many times. I'm really blessed knowing that between Sherrie and I, there was really nothing left unsaid. We had a great relationship. We didn't talk every day, but it didn't matter. But I wanted to take this time to thank her for so many things that she did for me and others in her life. Starting with me. Thank you for protecting me all my life, no matter the circumstances. Thank you for being part of an amazing sibling team. My sister Michelle, we lost last year, but when we were all together, we always started our calls with, "Hi Suber," that's Michelle. "Hi Boober," that was me. And "Hi Duber," that was Sherrie. I don't know why, but that's what we came up with. We would just, no matter how much time went by, we would just instantly connect. I know others have that same experience with people. And it didn't matter how long we were apart. And I think about my two sisters now. I'm sure in a quiet place, I'm going to hear them giggling because they just would laugh and laugh and laugh, and they wouldn't stop. They would take the breath, and then they would start laughing again. It brought a lot of joy to all of us. Thank you for rebuilding your life after your divorce and Mom's passing. In that process, you added courage, strength, and independence to your long list of fantastic qualities. Thank you for finding Al, the love of your life, and letting him into our lives. We love you so. Thank you for rediscovering your Jewish heritage and being so helpful to other Jews as part of your journey. Thank you for all you have done to honor Mom by keeping the family together and making your home a place of joy and comfort. Thank you for being a role model to your kids and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. You provided so much to each of them and focused on each one's personalities and needs with love and care. Thank you for facing death with such grace, compassion, and no regrets. Thank you for being my big sister, my good friend. Your baby brother will miss you so. I will think about you every day. But remember, if you want to chat, as my family knows, you'll have to figure out how to get a hold of me. I love you so, sis. Be at peace.
We now invite Melissa Rose, Sherrie's daughter, and Mark and Val Rose, Sherrie's son and daughter-in-law, to come forward.
Okay. Sherrie, Ellen, Munies, Rose Weiss, Mom, Mark, and I, and Val, are so proud to stand here in front of God and all of you, loved ones. We are so blessed to have everyone here to celebrate my mom today. She has touched the hearts of so many people near and far in the most special way. Thank you for all coming to celebrate our mom. To honor my mom, I want to honor her mom and dad, Zangwill and Beverly Munies. They had 3 amazing children, Bruce, Sherrie, and Michelle. As you know, we lost Shelly not even a year ago, and it's been a double blow to our family. This threesome, Bruce, Shelly, and Mom, were the best. The best. They were really something when they were all together, and even though we were all kind of far, it never felt that way. We have had a huge loss in our family. The matriarch of this side of the family. She has been the greatest teacher to Mark and I and the kids, and my mom would want our children, all 10 grandchildren, to grow up and make this world a better place. She met Al, the love of her life, and they danced through life together. Al and Mom are the rock of our family and the grandkids. I'm gonna miss her so much, but she is in my heart. My aunt is wrapped around me, and they're together now. So may she be at peace.
No, you've said it all.
And now, on behalf of all the grandchildren, we call upon Sherrie's oldest grandson, Posh.
Hello, everybody. I want to say thank you all for coming. Like you said, on behalf of all the grandchildren, I think I can safely say Bubby was the best at traditions and motivating us to learn about our culture and just being a good person. And she was always there to motivate and appreciate everything you did. And that there's no one else like that. Bubby was the one person you could count on for anything. And just knowing that that's gone really puts a new view on how to keep moving forward. But I know that Bubby would want all of us to keep moving forward and not look back. Thank you.
This time we call upon Joshua Weiss, Sherrie's stepson, to say words on behalf of himself and his siblings.
So my brother said if you read it 10 times out loud, it helps you hold it together. I read it 6 times out loud, so we'll see what happens. That's okay. On behalf of my siblings and our children, it is a privilege to speak about Sherrie and what she has meant to us over these past 24 years since first meeting my dad. Sherrie had a principle she lived by: don't talk about people, talk about things. She believed in giving people the benefit of the doubt, steering away from judgment, and focusing on kindness. But today, I hope she'll forgive me because I'm here to talk about a person, a remarkable person. 2 weekends ago, my brothers and sisters' families flew in, and we had a chance to share so many wonderful memories, first among ourselves, and then with Sherrie and my dad. It was treasured time to reflect on the role Sherrie's played in our family's lives, and the themes were very clear. Sherrie was loving, joyful, thoughtful, generous, vibrant, and colorful. While I don't want to overlap too much with what my brother will share on behalf of my dad about how Sherrie added to his life, I would be remiss not to reiterate a couple of things. We lovingly call my dad the easy button. He's easygoing, content with simple things, and doesn't have a lot of demands. We thought about what his life might have looked like if Sherrie hadn't come into it. And yes, I think he could have been content. But because of Sherrie, these last 24 years were not content. They were exceptional. Sherrie opened his world. Together, they traveled the globe, bringing back the tastes, cultures, and art that now decorate their home, every single inch of their home. She made his life an adventure. She was his life partner and his laugh partner, and oh, how we will miss Sherrie's laugh. My sister would tease Sherrie for laughing at 100% of my dad's jokes, which my sister did not find 100% funny. But for Sherrie, laughing wasn't just about the joke. It was about electing to see the joy in every single moment. One of my earliest memories of Sherrie was when she was taking care of Mark's dog, Rocky. Rocky was scared of his own tail. And I remember my dad running around the apartment, chasing Rocky, yelling, "Yar, yar," while Sherrie laughed uncontrollably. We all did. My dad was not a dog person, and my dad was not a runner. But with Sherrie, he could be. Sherrie was a fantastic photographer, but she didn't just preserve memories. She crafted them. Her Passover seders were legendary, filled with creativity, tradition, and fun. Matching outfits for each grandchild, intricate tablescapes, sunglasses, necklaces, bowler hats, toy 10 plagues. I believe Party City may have announced bankruptcy in anticipation of Sherrie not being around for next Passover. Sherrie's storytelling brought the Haggadah to life, and she even had a special Kiddush cup that divided grape juice into individually monogrammed, smaller cups so each grandchild could feel uniquely special and included. Sherrie's home was welcoming and magical for her grandchildren. While most grandparents have photos of their grandkids, Sherrie had 108 framed photographs of the grandkids throughout the home. If you include the Austin condo and the digital photos on her television, I think that number would quickly grow into the thousands. She transformed an entire loft space to an art studio where all creative endeavors were encouraged, even slime making, which most parents, including Nat and me, ban outright. Sherrie didn't simply allow it, she championed it, creating a full industrial slime complex. Sherrie was dynamic, full of life, and always made celebrations bigger, brighter, and more meaningful. She was colorful in every sense of the word, from her art to her clothing to her jewelry to her shoes to her radiant personality. If we had to sum up Sherrie in just a few words, it would be this: Sherrie, you made the ordinary extraordinary, and you made the special even more special. Each of her children carries their own treasured memories of her. Chelsea remembers their cherished tradition of having high tea together, where every detail felt magical. And of course, Sherrie made every day a hot chocolate day and valued their joint love of horror movies. Ari treasures having had Bubby in the audience at his plays and the videos from Bubby's 70th birthday, which stand as a testament to just how loved and celebrated she was. Corinne and Miles, who lived just a few minutes away, recall how Sherrie made their birthday special, jointly making her legendary dump cake and that cake tray that we would lovingly pass back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And Hannah fondly remembers knitting over Zoom together and their long conversations about challah making. And speaking of challah, when Hannah's mom, Lori, asked Sherrie for her challah recipe, not only did Sherrie send the recipe, as was so typical of Sherrie, she also sent the bread maker. Delivered via Amazon Prime, of course. Noah reflects on the safari trip, remembering how Sherrie's beaming smile filled every single moment. And Noah wasn't the only one. As we recently shared memories, we could not stop talking about the many unforgettable family vacations. But standing top among them was our trip to Kenya and Tanzania, a trip Sherrie and my dad planned with so much love and intention. She and my dad didn't need to go on another safari, but they did. They wanted to see the safari through our eyes and experience it together. It was classic Sherrie, infusing every moment with something distinctly memorable, whether it was a secluded pop-up gourmet lunch or a perfectly timed stop overlooking the most beautiful sunsets, always with a celebratory cocktail in hand and tons of laughter. On one of those overlooks, Sherrie sent a text to my dad. On one of those overlooks, Sherrie sat next to my dad, each in a canvas chair on the verge of happy tears. She said it was her dream to bring the kids together. She said, and I quote, "I hope that it will be something they will talk about forever." She will get her wish, but more profoundly than she imagined. The safari, will linger in our memories, for sure. But the person who brought them there, she, will be talked about forever. Sherrie, we love you. We miss you. We will not stop celebrating the joy you brought into our world. We will carry on your special traditions. There will be leeks at Passover, one for each grandkid to whack pops with, and wow, an extra one for you. Your yad, the one Corinne and Hannah used at their bat mitzvahs just this past year, will sit at the fingertips of the rest of the grandkids too, and you will be in their hearts. Thank you for enriching our dad's life and all of our lives in ways that we will carry with us.
It's customary on Friday nights as we welcome the Sabbath, the Shabbat into our homes, that before we make the Kiddush prayer that sanctifies the day, that we turn to the women in our lives and we recite the words of Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. And we found out yesterday that so was Al's practice every Friday night to read the words, these exact words, in translation to Sherrie. And so we're going to, in Sherrie's honor, and with your permission, Al, say the Eshet Chayil. Eshet Chayim imsa v'rachok mipnim michra batach balev bala v'shala lo yechsar.
A woman of valor, who can find? She is more precious than rubies. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he has no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She extends her hand to the poor. She reaches out her hands to the needy. She is robed in strength and dignity. She confidently faces the future. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Loving kindness is on her tongue. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband sings her praises. Many daughters have done worthily, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who reveres the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates.
Bala vaye halila rabot banot asuchayil viatalir al kolana שקר החן והבל היופי אישה יראת אדוני איתית הללתנו לה מפרי ידיה ביאללוה בשערים מעשהו.
Now, Mitchell Weiss, Sherrie's stepson, is going to come up and read some words that Al wrote this morning.
These are my dad's words. What a wonderful life we enjoyed together. As many of you know, Sherrie was a very, very special person. She was filled with love, laughter, and caring. She has left a great legacy and a huge hole in my heart. She made me promise that I would at least live to 86, and I made that promise, and miraculously I am still here. I should have made her give me the same promise. We met on J-Date in November 1999. I was new to the site, but she was ready to give up on meeting anybody. She was living in Princeton Village on the north side of Willow Road, which for me was the end of the geographical limits for a prospective relationship. She was in her 40s and had plenty of life left. I think after 2 dates, we knew there was something magical. How could I turn down a relationship with a Jewish girl who orders a gin martini and a burger on our first date rather than a chicken Caesar and a glass of white wine? Add to that a great smile, a beautiful face, a wonderful heart, and a way to connect with almost anybody. She, on the other hand, how could she not turn down a relationship with a short, chubby, underemployed, not quite yet divorced guy who, as she said, had a stack of JD profiles in his desk? The relationship developed and deepened quickly, and we decided to look for a house. She had 2 requirements. It had to be a ranch, and she did not want any neighbors, having had a very negative experience with the rule keepers at Princeton Village, whom she referred to as the condo commandos. I had one requirement: whatever makes Sherrie happy. So where else but River Woods? Our house reflects one of Sherrie's great qualities, a sense of design and color. We did a major remodeling of a smaller ranch, and given her talents, ended up with a beautiful, warm, inviting home where everyone who enters feels so comfortable. And as we aged, I was so happy she insisted on a ranch. And in the summertime, when our forest is filled out, we can see very few neighbors. The open architecture has lent itself to many parties, easy entertaining, and over 20 seated together for what were Sherrie's favorite times: Pesach, Rosh Hashanah, and Thanksgiving. And what a table she set. For Passover, the table was filled with jewelry and mirrors and multiple examples of the 10 plagues, a small Seder plate for everybody. At the kids' table, there was a replica of her, of the parting of the Red Sea. She made every holiday joyous and memorable for her grandchildren. We had a wonderful life together, enriched by family travels, our own adventures, special friends. And because of her, good deeds and quiet charitable giving. We traveled the world and visited over 70 countries and had plans for many more. We traveled to Israel and Melton by ourselves 8 times. She was a wonderful preschool teacher at Bethel and Highland Park and B'nai Tikva in Deerfield. Her students and the parents adored her. She loved to take on the most challenging kids and to work with them. Sherrie leaves 3 great legacies. Her 2 children, her 10 grandchildren, and the Florence Mountain School of Adult Jewish Learning. Park and Melissa. You brought so much joy to your mom. She was immensely proud of you. She loved all the parts of you. And she was delighted at what devoted parents you are. And I see the way your mom treasured her family in the way you treasure yours. Sherrie worked very hard to show as much love for the 6 grandchildren who belong to my kids as the 4 from hers. They loved her and adored her. She instilled in each of them a love for Judaism and our joyous family practices. She had hoped to bring them all to Israel, but it was not meant to be. All 10 of you reflect the best in her and are filled with wonderful Bubby memories. We took our first Melton class about 20 years ago. It was a 2-year, once-a-week curriculum. She fell in love with Jewish studies in the Melton format. She resolved that she would do whatever was needed to make sure that Melton not only survived, but thrived. And with her dedication to development and board expansion, the organization today has evolved from a tiny staff to a thriving organization with a wonderful team and an active board, no longer dependent primarily on just the Melton family for support. Sherrie would love for the Jews among us to visit the Melton website and to sign up for a class and to dedicate yourself to Jewish study. Sherrie's memory will live on with me, with her children, her grandchildren, her friends, and all those she touched. When we learned that she had stage 4 lung cancer, she had no anger. She remarked often over the last several months that she was grateful. She was grateful for the 24 years we had together and the wonderful experiences she had had and the rich and fulfilling life. She was a special lady, and she left this world with the same grace and positive energy that she exhibited every day. I loved her very much. May her memory be a blessing.
Thank you, Mitchell, and all of the family members who spoke and who contributed to the beautiful eulogies that were shared, for bringing all of us who aren't family into the deep familial love that Sherrie gave and received throughout her life. I want to briefly share why it is so important to Maury and to me to be here representing not only ourselves, but so many in the Melton community who loved Sherrie. Our colleagues, past and present, members of the board of directors, local directors from communities all over the world that operate our programs, travelers and fellow learners. Each and every one of us felt that it was a gift to have Sherrie in our lives. She brought sunshine. And she somehow was able to make every person feel special. And we all have individual joyful memories of spending many times with her. As Al spoke about in his words, Sherrie has been a Melton champion for many years. It was her mission to see the organization grow and thrive, and she did everything in her power to make that happen. A number of years ago, she and Al helped us take a huge leap forward where they made the most significant gift since our establishment by the Melton family. Sherrie also led the charge for Melton to pursue fundraising. She was instrumental in launching our annual campaign and other giving programs. And she never stepped away from her commitment. She was serving as our VP of Development and even fundraising in this past December as her health was deteriorating. But Sherrie's gift didn't really start with the money she raised. It started with her powerful articulation of why adult Jewish learning is so important. Over the years, we've had several different fundraising consultants help us to launch our programs, and each time we'd ask them to speak to a group of our generous supporters. When they'd report back from these stakeholder meetings, each one singled out the very same conversation. They quoted Sherrie's powerful articulation of how Melton had made her a torchbearer of Judaism for her family. Those were her words every time, and how important it was for her to empower many other adults in the same way. In the last few years, I've been privileged to have Sherrie in a monthly class I teach focused on the Jewish spiritual practice of Musar. In this practice, we focus on different spiritual virtues we look to cultivate in order to bring more goodness into the world. Officially, I was Sherrie's madricha, her teacher, but in fact, most of the time, Sherrie was my teacher. She brought many lessons from her life experience that so beautifully illustrated whatever we were learning in the traditional texts. When I think of Sherrie, there are two midot, two of these spiritual virtues that best describe the goodness that she brought into the world. The first is zerizut, and it means having zeal to do good for others. Sherrie was laser focused on what she wanted to accomplish in this world, what she wanted to instill in her grandchildren, and she looked for every opportunity to do good, and that was what filled her life with joy. The second is nidivut, generosity. Sherrie's generosity took so many forms. She was obviously devoted to her philanthropy, but when I think about her, what comes to mind is her generosity of spirit, of how she took interest in each and every person she encountered, and how she seemed to have an endless capacity for kindness and love. I, along with all of us who are students of Sherrie, both in the classroom and in life, are blessed to carry her wisdom and her Torah forward. As you heard, as Sherrie was home under hospice last week, we read the Torah portion about the end of our patriarch Jacob's life, and the parallels are profound. On his deathbed, Jacob first turned to his grandchildren and offered them a blessing. Sherrie, too, was concerned in her final days to share something meaningful with her grandchildren, to answer any questions they had about what was happening to her, to express her love to each of them, and to continue to give them the life wisdom that was her hallmark. One of the powerful things she said to them was that there is no such thing as a mistake in life, that instead, when something just doesn't go the right way, you take it as an opportunity to learn and to grow. To Sherrie's 10 beloved grandchildren, Posh, Chelsea, Corinne, Hannah, Miles, Noah, Xander, Ari, Jonah, and Shayla, may you always be filled with the joy and blessings that Bubby gave you throughout her life and even in how she died. She loved each and every one of you for who you uniquely are, and you are her greatest legacy. Our patriarch Jacob also gave particular guidance and blessings to each of his sons, seeing each one for their uniqueness and looking to guide them with love. Sherrie also prepared to leave this world expressing her deep love for her children and an incredible sense of gratitude for the life she shared with all of them. To Sherrie's children, Melissa and Mark, and daughter-in-law Valerie, and Sherrie's stepchildren, Laura, Joshua, Mitchell, and her daughters-in-law, Natalie and Lori. May you continue to feel Sherrie's powerful presence in your life, sharing her wisdom and love with your children and one day with their children. And Al, as was expressed so many times, the deep love you had was felt by everyone who came to know you. You shared with me a few days ago, during this heartbreaking time, you were trying to follow Sherrie's incredible lead and hold on to the gratitude for the great life you shared. Now you hold on to that gratitude alongside the pain of this very great loss. And it is our role as your friends and your community to be here to comfort you. Sherrie is also mourned by her brother Bruce and sister-in-law Sarah, by the family of her sister Michelle, who passed away unexpectedly a year ago, and by so many in this room and those joining from around the world on live stream. We will miss you. I'd now like to invite Chazan Chulef to recite the El Malay Rachamim prayer, and I'll ask everyone to please rise for the prayer.
El Malay Rachamim Shochen Bamerumim Amte Menucha Nechona תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת שושנה בת זנגוויל ברל ופשפגה שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה בעל הרחמים הסתירה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח בשלום על משכבה ונאמר אמן.
May the source of life, the fountain of all being, open our hearts to compassion and our eyes to wisdom, that we might glimpse in perfect peace and sadness the way of all things. May the memory of Sherrie be for us a blessing, and may we never let the light of her love grow dim in our hearts. May we remember all her many worthy and righteous deeds, that her memory be forever bound up in the bond of life. God is our source and our destiny, our origin and our destination, our beginning and our end. May the death of Sherrie awaken us to this truth, that the bond of love we shared and share be not severed in sorrow. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Please remain standing.